Let's say you have a text file that has some weird text in it that you can fetch an HTML page and you can read it and clean it up. But now let's do it in a text file. It's the same thing. You can read HTML in here instead of a text file. It's the same process. So now when we run this program, we can see that the content looks like this. And first, what we need to do is that there are multiple ways of doing it. Let's just assign a variable called file content equals file.read, and then we can start a for loop inside that file content. And then inside the for loop, we can see what's happening. Just print I, and we get stuff like this. It's gonna be a really long print, but that's how it looks like. You can change it by end equals this, nothing. So now we get where you can print it just like how it is in the text file. And to remove the spaces at the start and the end of the file, we can use a strip. And this is now we have removed white spaces from the end of the file and from the start of it. And now you can use built-in libraries in Python, or you can install libraries for cleaning up the text, but I will do it mostly manually because that's how you learn coding actually. You're not gonna learn it by using libraries all the time. Let's say you have many white spaces, as we can see here. There are many white spaces. What if you want to just have one? So you can do it by, let's add a new variable called white space, or is white space, and then false. And then if I equals white space, then is white space equals true. And let's add white space count. Let's start at 0, and then we can increment it by 1. And now to save the content, we should. And now we will check if white space count is bigger than 1. We will skip, so we will not add the text content that we will add later right now. If we have content, so we just, here we can say content equal plus equal I. And let's print the content and the end of the file. And we need another condition to make it false, and to then reset the count if it's not a space anymore. And now we will print the content, and as you can see, the text looks much better, and now we don't have a lot of white spaces, but we have some here, or we have one here. And we don't really need the is white space at the moment. I thought maybe we would need it later, but at this point we don't really need that variable because we can just do it this way and it will be fine and it will be easier to understand. So now we have a condition that checks if the character we are in the file content is a space. We increase the count by 1 for white spaces, and we can see that if white space is bigger than 1, is greater than 1, then we skip continue, which means we skip this line and just loop again. And if the character we are in is not a space, then we just reset the space count, white space count, to 0. Let's say that you also want to remove the white space after a line break, like here. You can see that we have line break and we have space, but we can't really do it at the moment because we don't have any information on. We have information on the count of white spaces, but we don't really have any info that we have actually right now a white space. So what we can do is that we check if it is a line break, and it's gonna be to delete white spaces after new lines. We should first check if it's a new line, if the current character is a new line, and then we need to check if the index, where the current index is not bigger, is not greater than the length of the whole content, because if it is, then we're gonna get an index error. After that, we need to check if it's actually a white space. So if we enter here, we'll see that the next character after the new line is a white space. So if it is, then we increase the white space count by 1. And so if we print here something so we can see what's happening inside. And I think that helped us with this issue where we had a lot of lines after a lot of white spaces after each new line. Like in here, we can see that there's one, and there's one here, and then there is one here. And using this method has allowed us to just delete all the white spaces that were there. But if we don't use this method and just use continue, then it will remove the new line as well. So that's why it's not a good idea to use continue. Yeah, and that's basically it, how we remove white spaces after a new line. And this is one way of doing it. It's not really the best way possible. I'm just explaining how things work if you want to do it this way. But there are multiple ways you can do it differently. The whole process of it. So what we did is that we have index and we have I, and we have to use enumerate so we can get the index we are in inside the loop. And then we check if the character, which is called I, it's better if we call it something else. You can name it like current character inside the string as an example. And now we have index, and now it's more readable for everyone. And we check if the current character is space, then we increment the space count by 1. If it's not, then we reset, because in this file we have a lot of white spaces like here. So it's better if we have a counting method, so we can keep only one white space. And if all, so this one is checking all the conditions. So we have current character is a new line, and length, I explained it. And the length is not greater than the index we are in, the length of the whole content of the file. So if the file content, so basically this means that the character after the new line is white space, then we increment the white space by 1, and then here we have a check that checks every time if the white space count is more than 1, and then we skip it if it's more than 1. This is how everything works. And if we remove the white spaces, like every single one of them, like in this, I commented this out and I just checked if it's more than 0, which will delete every white space. Now you can see that it's not readable anymore, so it's not a good idea. And you can also just add here lower, and you will get all the characters in lowercase.